thing.
Just retweet the Famicast tweet. That would be fine.
Okay,
Great.
Okay,
The
and
door's
we
shut. No, I'm back. All right, cool.
Live.
Sorry.
We're live.
I'm good.
Don't worry, we'll fix it in post. Okay, so welcome to Famicast 107. As you can probably tell, I am not Danny Bivens. I am James. Danny is on vacation, and so is Cyrus. So the only regular crew member I have with me today is Mr. Ty Schugert.
Yo, what's good?
That's right, and joining him are two special guests. I'm just putting special just because I can.
We're very special.
Don't worry about it.
Very special. The first one is Naman, aka NBZ.
Hello. Yes, I hail from This Nintendo Life podcast. I know we had the name that was similar to Nintendo Life, but it was a riff on This American Life, I swear. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Been listening for a while, so very cool to be on the podcast.
And the other super special guest, I just added super, not to make Naman feel bad or anything, is John, aka eigotaku.
Yeah, hi. Everything I do on social media, I go by the name eigotaku. I'm in Japan. I don't know about the other two guys. Are they in Japan? Naman, are you in Japan?
I'm in London at the moment, so I'm in the UK. So it's middle of the afternoon for me. But
yeah, we're on 2 time zones at the moment, and Naman, afternoon for you, but bedtime for the rest of us Japan people.
Yeah, right.
So Danny and Cyrus should be back for 108, but like I said, they're on vacations. Danny's back in America. I don't know if it's FBI related, but whatever. And Cyrus is somewhere in Japan. He's taken a break from living in the countryside to go to another bit of countryside in Japan. So brilliant. Well, best of luck to him.
Sounds like a busman's holiday to me.
Exactly, it's ridiculous. Like, at least go to a city once. Come on, Jesus Christ. So yes, we'll try and make it as a regular show as possible, despite being an irregular crew. No offense or anything. That's not in a bad way.
I'm taken.
Good.
I wouldn't worry about it. I'm used to it.
So John, let's start with you. Me. I thought we could tag team the first bit because you have been trying your damnedest to help me obtain a Switch, and so have several other people on Twitter. I've got to give a shout out to several people actually. DJ Mizuhara, he's one of them. John on the 84 podcast, he's another one of them. I appreciate everybody trying to help me get a Switch, but I am still yet to have one. But John has a good story. He was in the front lines. You probably saw his article about this. It was making the rounds on the Nintendo websites. Why do you explain it? You can do a better job than me.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it hadn't have been for you, I probably wouldn't have even ventured out. Like a Tokyo summer morning is not a pleasant experience. I have described it many times as being when my towel and my clothing are one and the same thing. So, but yeah, I ventured out for you. I live on the kind of border of Saitama and Tokyo, over that side of the city.
Right.
So I thought I'd try my luck with a couple of the local places. One of them was a Yamada Denki, whatever you call it. Yeah, Yamada or Labby, I think.
Yeah.
And I got there, and there was just an A4 sign on the window saying we don't have any, and we don't know when we're going to get them. And there was no queue, there was no optimism or anything. So I was like,
yeah, similar to what it's like.
This was about 20 to 9 in the morning, about 25 to 10 in the morning. So the shops hadn't even opened yet. So I didn't run, briskly walked to the train station and went to you can't run in this weather, it's crazy. Anyway, I briskly walked to the jumped out to get to the local Toys R Us, which is a little bit closer into the city, but it's still a good 20 minutes outside of the Yamanote line. So I thought, and I think I got there at about 1 minute past 10, and that's what annoys me the most, because if I'd have known that Yamada hadn't had any, I would have gone straight to Toys R Us, so I could have at least got in the queue.
Right. Okay.
Was the fact that the queue was going to get cut off at 10 o'clock, and I got there at 1 minute past 10.
And
super pissed off.
This was a queue for
But
the lottery.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because it sounds like queues don't actually matter there, because they seem to be just randomly giving them out to people who are in the queue.
No, well, that's the thing. I did take a panoramic photo, and there was about 400 people in the queue at 10 o'clock when they cut it off. They had 20 switches. 5.
Oh my God.
I think it was 5 neon, 5 grey, and 10 Splatoon bundles.
Right.
That was it. So yeah, each person took a ticket with the same number on it, because obviously it wouldn't make any difference. If you wanted to switch, you wanted to switch. If you got a neon one, you wouldn't go, oh, I don't want it, and give it back. That wouldn't happen. So
yeah.
I went into after the queue had shut. I went into the shop, found out what time the lottery was happening. They had a buttload of cases and accessories. The Pro Controller, you could still buy that freely, and the Joy-Con, you could still buy that freely. Spoke to a young lady who had queued up for about 2 hours to get a ticket for the lottery, and she was like, I bought a physical copy of Splatoon 2 and a Pro Controller and Zelda. She didn't even know if she was going to get one.
Sounds familiar.
So yeah, I chatted to her, and then wished her all the best. Went off to the Big Smoke. Went to Ikebukuro to start with. Went to Big Camera and Labby in Ikebukuro. They were doing their own kind of lottery system. They didn't have tickets. They had wristbands. Again, by the look of it, I got there at about 11:30, so they had just announced the numbers, and so people were walking out of Big Camera with their switches. The numbers on the lottery went up to about 2,000, and they had 50, I want to say 50 Splatoon bundles, and that was it. But
so the
next day they were doing the next day I think they were doing a lottery again, but for a normal Switch, not for the Splatoon bundle. So, and the lady that I spoke to said that they had, in inverted commas, considerably more Switches available the next day. But what that means, I don't know. So,
right.
After venturing into Ikebukuro and going to a couple of stores there, I went over to Akihabara, and they just had a big sign saying nope.
No, just leave.
Don't know when we're going to get something, and that was it. So there was no kind of buzz or no hype or anything. You know, I only think you could even queue up to buy the software at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that was it.
Yeah.
I know that the store opened at 8 o'clock, but that was it.
Has it just been the hardware that's selling out, or is like physical copies of Splatoon selling out as well? Because I imagine with that being the new hotness, that's no. Okay.
I don't think that's so much of an issue, and even if it was, they haven't really done any kind of. I could see in the background of James's place, like they haven't done a like limited edition or the Zelda, the Breath of the Wild kind of limited edition stuff. Right. They haven't done anything like that, so I don't really see that selling out of the physical copies of Splatoon 2 would be that much of an issue.
Sure.
Yes, I got one of those. I got one of those as well.
Yeah, this is what they're handing out at most electronic shops at the moment. That's the Splatoon bundle thing. Yeah. My story, I've got my version of the my place, and I've got another story from another guy, DJ Mizuhara on Twitter, who also tried to get me one. My story is annoying, and DJ Mizuhara's is more like blue balling than annoying. Anyway, I'll explain both of them. So my experience was I got involved in my own lottery. This was probably a week after John did his Nintendo Life article and did everything. So my place is a Labby, and I got there before it opened. It opens at 10, like you said, and I got there maybe 9. Yeah, it wasn't open, and there weren't any queues. There was nobody there at all. I was like, okay. So I did a little bit of shopping. Didn't completely waste my time. Waited to 10, went straight to the game section, and they said, nope, we don't have any Switches whatsoever. But the day before, I'd actually asked the lady behind the counter, I said, when do you usually get new stock in for like game related stuff, and she says like she said Friday afternoons. So I thought, okay, what we'll do is we'll hang out in town. We'll do other kind of family related stuff. And by that time, my family had kind of come into town to join me. And I said, okay, I'll come back at like, maybe 11, just so I can get a bit ahead of the queue. And I just kind of hung out basically at the game section, just kind of looking at games and browsing. Loitering, basically. Yeah, exactly. Security guard giving me a shifty look.
Up in there.
And I was just kind of like peeking behind the counter, just to see if anything was coming in. And there were a few boxes did arrive, but they were Dragon Quest 11 boxes. Right. We're going to talk about that later in news. Yeah, boxes and boxes of Dragon Quest 11, PS4 and 3DS versions. Yeah, so there were queues at that 11 o'clock, but they were all buying Dragon Quest. They were not interested in anything else, which is good for me. And then about, 11:30, 11:45, a much smaller box with a Nintendo logo came on. Opened that up. It was the new 2DS. I was like, fucking hell.
Owned. They're teasing you.
Throw it straight in the trash, please. But then just about 10-15 minutes after that, another Nintendo logo box came on, and it was, I believe, 10? Yes. No, was it 5 or 10? 5 or 10 Splatoon 2 bundles. Obviously, I instantly creamed in my pants, and I asked them, are they going to start selling them? And the guy said, just wait a moment. He's saying in Japanese, obviously. He's saying, can you just wait a moment? I've got an announcement to make. I was like, okay, here we go. At this point, I would say there were about 12 loiterers like me, loitering, looking at the box, licking their lips. And so I thought, wait a minute, okay, if they're going to do a lottery, that's a pretty good chance. I think it was, if it was like 10 Splatoon bundles and it's like, 12, maybe 15 people here, what chance is that? It's like 70% chance. I'm like, come on. And he comes out and says, okay, we're going to do a lottery at 2 o'clock. And I was like, oh, fuck. This time, like I said, it was just around about midday at this point. So I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. I can go and get lunch, and I'll come back at 2 o'clock. But at this time, by 2 o'clock, I'd have been there, since like 10, right before 10. Good. So I'm like, okay. Really? Wow. So all the 15 guys were all waiting for the Switch. All looked obviously very disappointed and kind of like mumbling and walked off. Me included. So we all came back. I came back like just before 2, maybe like 1:45, and outside the shop, they made us go outside for some reason, because I was in the game section. They said, no, go out to the main entrance right at the front of the store and wait there. We're not doing it here. This is too small or whatever. So yeah, we went to the main entrance. There's about 85 people there, all waiting for the Switch. So the guy comes out, he hands out lottery tickets to everyone, and it's like, my number was, my wife and my son came at that point, and I made my son get one. I mean, he's only 6.
Using them for extra tickets.
Yeah.
Off the chances.
Yeah. Here's a 6-year-old. Yeah, he's got a credit card. He can afford one.
Yeah.
And my wife got one as well. So we had 3 tickets. Okay, all different numbers, ranging like 20 up to 30 something. But I saw like the last guy, I think his ticket was like 89 or something like that. There was a lot of people there. So obviously my chances went from 70% to, I don't know what, 5%, 4%? I don't know what my chances were at that point. So yeah, the guy reads out, there's a Twitter video I took of them taking the lottery. And yep, my number didn't come up. But more annoying than that, there was this guy, because there was quite a large number of people waiting outside the shop, right? So it was kind of like attracting more people. I'm like, come, just fuck off. You're not interested in the Switch. Just go, go and get your washing machine or whatever reason you're here. So this guy just kind of walks past and goes like, oh, what's going on? Oh, okay. And just kind of nonchalantly grabs a ticket as he walks past. That guy got one. That fucking asshole got one. He was barely interested. I probably didn't even know what the Switch was,
Do you know if there's a reason why they do this lottery system as opposed to a like first come first served thing?
Because there would be a riot.
Yeah, I guess.
Like we're talking serious health and safety issues here.
I think
bottlenecking and
well, there's more chance of a riot.
Serious. Yeah.
More chance of a riot when someone gets the chance of a Switch increasing, you know, tenfold. But yeah, it is weird. I mean, they could have done the lottery right there and then, right? But they didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. They want to make an event of it. You know, they want to attract more people, and you know, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what it is. Anyway,
It does seem like they're kind of leveraging as a marketing thing for their own store almost.
so
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I mean, if they get a lot of people to queue up, then maybe they'll think, oh, while we're here, we'll just go and get
Right.
Yeah, pick up
fan
the
for
rice
the
cooker.
summer or something like that, bit an AC or something.
That's
Yeah.
right. I didn't get my Splatoon 2 set, but you know, I do need a tumble dryer, so you know.
Okay, exactly.
But so then my friend of the show, DJ Mizuhara, he lives out in the countryside. I think I forgot which prefecture he lives in Japan. He in Nagano, maybe, I think it is. Anyway, he was in this like very small game shop out in the countryside. He went there by motorbike. He's got a very cool kind of like Iron Man branded motorbike. He tweeted this picture of like a store shelf with like maybe 5 Splatoon bundles on it, like, but not the actual bundle themselves, but like the thing that your card that you take to the counter, and then there was like another 10 neon bundles, another 10 gray ones, so basically 10 of each. And you know, I saw this tweet, but I was about to tweet him, and he'd already DM'd me and told me about it. So I was like, he's like, "Do you want me to get one of these for you?" I'm like, yes, please, yes, go. Like, yeah, Splatoon, anything, Splatoon, neon gray, in that order, anything will do. And he goes to the counter, and the guy says, cash only. And this is the thing that costs between 33,000 to 38,000 yen, basically.
Jeez.
You know, whatever, 350 squids, right? And obviously he doesn't have 40,000 yen in his back pocket. So
I did have 40,000 yen in cash just in case they did come out with some.
Wow. That's dedication.
well, you should have been in Nagano, mate. Jesus.
Yeah.
So he says, do you want me to like go back home and get the money and get this? I was like, well, could you? It's like, seems a bit much to ask, you know, guy. And he said, yeah, no problem. It's only about 40 kilometers away. And I was like, what? Jesus. I felt really bad for asking him to do this. But he was on a motorbike, you know, whatever. He's got a death wish. Live and let live. So he went back home, he got the money and came back. It's like a round trip of like 80, 90 kilometers at this point. All sold out.
It's crushing. It's just, man.
That's what I call blue balling. He was literally holding it. Literally holding it. As he got back, there was this guy and his kid buying the last one. So
that's even worse. Oh, you could have left that bit out.
Well, if it was a Chinese scalper, it might have been slightly worse. You know, it's a dad buying it for his kid. You know, whatever.
Yeah, well, like I said, in Big Camera and Ikebukuro, there were like news crews loitering to interview people that had got one. They, you know, it was almost like something out of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or something. It was
yeah,
mad,
it is.
Absolute madness. But
I got the golden tickets.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I can spend.
It's that mental.
I can spend $400. Yay! Okay.
But that's the thing. Like a couple of weeks ago in Akihabara, when there were 5,000 people queuing up,
right?
And that's just for a lottery. If you can imagine if it was like first come first serve, what people would be camping out in the summer.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, going back to like old school. Like,
rip in peace.
I remember some Nintendo launches in America. People queued up for like 3 days or something stupid.
There's also the kid who
just become uncontrollable. So.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, it is harsh. It is harsh the way they're doing it, but the situation will get better. It has to. It can't get any worse.
I heard there are going to be a bigger stock. I mean, somebody said about there was going to be a store with like 500 bundles. So that's definitely an increase. But I think we've had enough negativity and blue balling for a whole, I don't know, for another 10 episodes. So let's let's move on to somebody who's actually played a game that we've just mentioned. And let's try Numan and Splatoon 2. I believe you've been playing.
Sure. Yeah, so I got Splatoon 2 on launch day. Luckily, the situation in the UK is pretty good because no one really cares about Nintendo here. So, I was able to get my Switch day one.
That's why I left.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was just wondering, James, surely you have people like family in the UK still. Couldn't they buy one and ship it over to you?
Yeah, but then, it's a lot of shipping costs, and also I'd have to buy it,
sure,
an adapter and everything. But yeah, it might come to that point.
The one good thing is that it is region free, so you have that bonus.
I guess the AC adapter is just a USB-C, isn't it?
Yeah, it is USB-C, so you can kind of use anything.
Oh, we can use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it is like the exchange rate. It is a lot more expensive. Like considerably more expensive. Like when you convert the Japanese price, it's like 220 quid. But in England, it's like 280, right? Oh, 200.
Yes, it is
280. Yeah,
mine was 280 day one, which we've been getting screwed on prices for a long time, but it's another story. So yeah, I've been playing quite a bit of Splatoon 2. I got a new phone recently, so I was able to download the Nintendo Switch parental controls app, so I can properly log my activity. Very exciting. And I did 15 hours or so in the first weekend, which is more than I usually kind of end up doing for a lot of new games.
Did your parents help you set it up?
No, unfortunately. That would have been helpful.
Sorry, that's a running joke on this podcast. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, it's an oldie, but a goodie. Splatoon 2 for me has been... It's a very solid game, and I've been enjoying it a lot. And, I think that they are basically proposing, hey, if you missed out on the first one, this is basically a better version. It has new maps, it has new weapons, and they've added, the Horde mode with Salmon Run. But it's been pretty similar, I found. And, especially leveling up to get into ranked. There's no new ranked modes yet, so it's just been the 3 that they had before, Rainmaker, Tower Control, and Splat Zones. But I do like that they've kind of split those up, because before it would just be under one banner, your ranking individually. And now, because I really like Tower Control, so that's the one I always go for. And so I would always be annoyed if I got matched into a Splat Zones and then my ranking went down, and that would affect my Tower Control thing. So
so you actually select ranked, and then you select the mode that you want from after that?
So you don't actually, it's still their system of every couple of hours they change it out. So for one session it will be Splat Zones, another session will be Tower Control, but your individual rank is determined by whatever one you're doing.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, so if you do play Tower Control and nothing else, your other ones will stay at C-, but your Tower Control one will go up essentially.
Has that happened to you?
So it's weird because I was actually playing some Rainmaker, which I don't really like, and I jumped a huge amount of rank in one match. I went from a C- to a B- in one fell swoop. Whoa. And I don't know why that is, whether they are tracking how good you are comparative to who you're in a lobby with, or whether you're doing particularly well, then they'll think, oh, this guy's really good, we'll bump him up a lot because he doesn't need to grind through.
We were me and Ty were just talking about this on one of our spin-off shows.
Yeah, I'm wondering aside from the letters, there might be a whole nother ranking system behind the scenes that you don't see. It could be some sort of performance-based thing, or an ELO type of thing.
Well, like I was saying, Ty, with Splatoon 1, if you beat a team of S ranks when you're a C, you're going to get a shitload of points for that.
Right.
But if you beat someone the same or lower than you, you're going to get less points. So
right.
Maybe you just beat a really good team now.
Yeah, I think it might be sometimes if there aren't enough people on, well, there should be a lot now because it's just launched. But I imagine if they can't get people who are in the exact same range as you and they have to pair you up with people who are higher and you still beat them, then they're able to reward you for that essentially.
There you go. Good job.
So yeah, apparently I'm good at Rainmaker. I didn't think I was doing too well, but there you go.
I like Rainmaker.
It's cool. It's a nice twist on Capture the Flag. Having the thing that you're carrying actually be a weapon as well is a neat twist. I think Splatoon generally, the thing I really like about it is it subverts a lot of those tropes of a lot of multiplayer shooters where the whole basic idea is not to be shooting your enemies, but to be shooting the floor. So yeah, even in that mode,
Except in Town Control, where you are pretty much shooting the enemy. Like
yeah,
exclusively.
constantly. Yeah,
That's
tower control is my tactic for tower control is to like try and get the delayed explosion bomb that you have with the arrow spray and just stick it there and then wait for them to jump on it, just explodes and gets rid of them instantly.
The bucket is good for that one as well because it kind of arcs.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Sorry, can I jump in just
Sure.
quick?
Yeah.
I noticed that the three modes are on a rotation exactly the same as before, but the ranking is different. And I have a similar experience. Like one session I went through for an hour or so, up one rank, and then last night I think I was doing splat zones, and so my splat zones was on B-, and I got smoked the whole time, 10 matches in a row. And it was like about splat zones is that you get down to a certain stage and then you get a little timer underneath and you have to get through that timer before your main timer goes down again. Whereas the thing I like about Rainmaker is that to end, and it's not, there's a lot less emphasis on it's not over until it's over kind of thing. Whereas with the splat zones there is a like I said, a smaller timer and then a bigger timer.
Yeah, I don't really know what's up with that timer. It's a strange thing. I don't know how consistent it is and what it determines. Like, why does it suddenly have a larger number? It's strange.
It's like it's a cooldown thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it. But yeah, I also am not a big fan of splat zones. It's the one that I like the least.
Yes, well, it also like it varies a lot because some have only got one zone and some have got two. Some of them are quite
so I don't know they've done that in this one. I think it's just one zone for all the maps now.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah, I remember some of them were quite far apart as well, and some of them were quite close. Others were only one massive one, things like that.
Because Port Mackerel is a stage they brought back for this game, but so they've done like slight additions. Like you have the big sponges that were in the single player of the first game. They're a part of that map now. Nice. But also the splat zones for that map is a single area where it used to be two, like one at each end.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So
cool.
They kind of consolidated it.
Nice.
They didn't have the little fast track things either, did they?
No,
not in the multiplayer.
No, anyway. So Moray Towers now has those tracks as well, the wires that you can go across.
In fact, people said like, why these items are not in the multiplayer as well. And
right.
I guess they listened for the sequel, I guess.
Yeah, to some degree, although now the single player has a ton of new mechanics that are just nowhere to be found in the multiplayer map. So they're just doing it again, I guess. Like Splatoon 3 will have to wait until we get like bouncing pads and all these other things they've added.
Always one step forward, two steps back with Nintendo, but there you go.
Yeah, it seems so.
Yeah, I have said a number of times Rome wasn't built in a day. It took them how long to get region free and stuff like that. So
very true.
Yeah, they certainly like making their apologists wait for all this kind of stuff.
Rome wasn't built in 5 generations of consoles.
No.
Still don't have voice chat.
John, have you played any of the single player of Splatoon 2?
I have. I'm about halfway through World 3. And yeah, I was interested to hear you bring up the single player because there are a ton of new mechanics in there. There's things like the rails. I think at the beginning of World 3, it almost reminded me of like the skyhook from Bioshock Infinite,
to some
which
degree.
sounds really, really weird for me because obviously you look at Splatoon, you look at Bioshock, they're completely different. But one thing that I did notice when I was doing that on the rails and jumping from the rails to the skyhooks and stuff like that, I wish it had some kind of like the Breath of the Wild thing where the time slowed down, so you had time to take your aim onto the skyhook and then
there's one level in particular.
It's almost like Arkham, like the Arkham games.
Right. There's one level in particular where there's this really tall building and there are wires just curling around it, and you need to like aim your splat charger to hook onto one of the things, and it is quite tough to get that done for sure. For me especially because I'm someone who I really like motion controls in a lot of Nintendo games. Like Breath of the Wild is a perfect example, and same with like Wind Waker HD, where you have the subtle adjustment for the bow and all that stuff. But I've never been a fan of Splatoon's motion controls, mainly because because you have to use a combination of the stick, which doesn't work vertically, it only works horizontally. And so it kind of takes me out of it. Like I can't, it makes my brain go a bit weird. So yeah, it's this weird combination of the two. And so with the Splat Charger, I really would like to be able to have that fine adjustment, but not having the motion controls means that I can't. So it's a little bit annoying. You can't like change the sensitivity without like going out of the single player mode and onto the main square and then going into the options and then changing. Like I can't just do it from a level in the single player, which is slightly frustrating.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I also think with the motion controls in Splatoon, it's just too fast paced for me.
Sure.
In the wild, you can kind of use the motion controls to do, well, in older Zelda games, it would be like the hook shot or something like that, or targets that you didn't have that pressure of someone just destroy you. For me,
yeah, usually more like puzzle based
competitive stuff. Is too fast paced to deal with motion control, but that's maybe just me. I'm not used to it. I just gave up.
Yeah, I played 50 hours of the original Splatoon without motion control, so it's very difficult for me to turn that switch now. So
there's never been a shooter that's been on a motion control system and a non-motion control system to kind of have a battle. I think there's maybe only been like one of the Call of Duty games or something like that, where you could use a Pro controller and Wii pointer, stuff like that. I always thought it'd be
the Wii Call of Duty games did that.
I always thought it'd be a cool like YouTube video or something like that to have like a pointer controls or motion controls versus standard stick controls. If everyone's kind of like equal skill ability, and then see if it affects it in any way. I thought that'd be pretty cool. But there's so few games that do that because you're not going to play Splatoon on Xbone, are you?
No.
Okay. So yeah, is it called Hero Mode, the one player in the English version? Because I always hear my students talking about Hero Mode, but I think that could be the
I guess it might be. I don't know if it's called like the Octo something when you go on the menu to go into it. I'm not sure.
Canyon?
Octo Canyon, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of the weapons are called like the Hero Charger, the Hero Dualies, and stuff like that. So I think you probably
That's one thing that I really like.
Yeah. I think you probably unlock those from doing the single player, although I haven't got any yet. So
I'm not sure that you unlock them, but I really like the fact that it kind of encourages you to at least try them out.
Right. That's the big difference in the single player is like instead of having this one weapon, you're now and having it locked behind Amiibo, which great idea, thanks Nintendo. Now it basically encourages you to try every weapon, and that's the thing I really like about Salmon Run as well. Is every wave of Salmon Run, you're always given a different weapon. So for me, I always, when I'm playing Turf War, I just generally stick to my one gun and don't change that often. But I think it's really nice that they've encouraged you to branch out and try this different stuff with the other modes.
Yeah, I think it encourages a different strategy too. Like you were saying about the Splat Charger, you can be a bit more kind of methodical and take your time. Even though I hate snipers when I'm playing against them, make it my point to go after them. I mean, like I said, I'm quite old. I haven't got the reaction speed of these Japanese kids that play. So I normally just stick to my roller and my curling bombs and smash the hell out of people normally.
Yeah.
But no, I like the fact that it gives you a chance. Things I thought that was really, really cool.
The kids today, eh?
Yeah.
The kids today with the splishing and the splashing.
Get young.
Get young. Awesome. So actually, how's Salmon Run? Because I've heard people loving it, but also being annoyed by the kind of schedule system. But they have made some adjustments to that. Is that true?
I don't know if they've made any adjustments. I know everyone's complaining about it. I don't know that it's that terrible, because for me there's so much to do in Splatoon that if you can't do one thing at once, it's not like the end of the world. Like I'm always leveling up something or jumping into the single player. So for me personally, I don't find it too much of a burden, but it is a really fun mode and it's really cool. So I understand a lot of people want to devote a ton of time to it. And they're just not able to, because I think the biggest problem is that Nintendo have made the times in which you can play really inconvenient to especially people in America who like get home from work and the Salmon Run ends at like 5 p.m. So they get home and they can't play it.
So they're not region specific then, it's a global thing.
I think it's global, yeah, and
That's
I think they
weird,
just
that's
adapt
weird.
it. Yeah.
Because as you might know, Splatoon 2 is one of the few Switch games that, even though it is region free, it does actually have some region exclusive, or well, like for example, the Japanese version is only in Japanese.
Sure.
And they have exclusive gear that you unlock by going to 7-Eleven or something.
Oh, okay.
It's nothing worth worrying about, seriously.
Sure. I mean, there must like my friend's been sending me pictures because he's in Japan right now, and there seems to be a lot of Splatoon advertising everywhere for a lot of that stuff. So
yeah, so
that
like
sense.
having that kind of, and also the Splat fests are also different as well, right?
Yeah.
But it's weird that even though they had that, they couldn't just set the schedules for each country, right? Like, what would be the point? You know.
So don't quote me on it because I'm not 100% sure. But the thing that I've just been hearing,
I think you're right.
is
Because
okay.
why else would it end at 2 a.m. or something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
4 a.m. Like
they seem to be like 24-hour periods, but then sometimes there's just whole days where it's not even there. And I imagine, like, so what they do is basically every time it comes back, there are 4 different weapons that you can choose from. So they rotate those. And then I imagine they rotate like the different waves of enemies that are possible. Like they basically balance the weapons to the waves that they give you, because a lot of the point of Salmon Run is to defeat like these big boss enemies. And by doing that, you collect eggs and you need to get a certain amount, like a quota, in order to pass it. And there are certain enemies that are weak to different weapons. So there's this one like massive salmon who has this like green thing on his head, and if you don't get it in time, he'll like shoot it off and it will create a massive explosion. And the Splat Charger can one-shot that guy. So if you have someone who's good with the sniping, they can get rid of him really easily, whereas like a roller, for example, couldn't deal with that guy.
Oh, right, yeah. You'd have to get a pie and like flick him to death or something.
Exactly, yeah. And there is some verticality to it, so that is possible. But it seems like they are basically tailoring each session around what weapons you have versus what enemies you face.
Oh, I actually have a question about the currency for all of these modes. Is it a shared currency, like shared thing? Everything's the same, like.
No, it's pretty fragmented actually. The stuff you get for Salmon Run is every time you clear out a run, you get a certain amount of points, and those points lead to prizes, right? So like
points
every every like 100 points you get, you can go to this this like desk, and a woman will give you like some capsule toys, or I don't know, a squid. You know, who knows what gender any squid are.
Woman? What's this weird thing? A woman? What?
Yeah, I know.
Never heard of it.
You get basically like capsule toys that just open, and you'll have either gold in them, or you'll get tickets and stuff like that. And like these tickets
the gold can be used for the other.
Right. So I think currency generally is across the board, aside from the stuff you get from Splatfests, like those weird, like in the original, the like orange or the purple, like seashell. Yeah. So generally the currency is the same, but the leveling system for ranked is like based on your rank, and then obviously the main one is based on your experience, and then Salmon Run has its own like rank system. So you basically level up in that individually.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for that. I'm very looking forward to playing it when I eventually get a Switch. So
I'm sure you'll love it when you get there. Yeah.
So, Ty, you've been waiting patiently.
Oh yeah.
So you've been playing Starfox. Was that for our podcast?
It was. We didn't get a chance to talk about it because we talked about Mario Kart for 2 hours straight.
We did. We shit on every Mario Kart game since the beginning, and then made the perfect Mario Kart.
That's right. We're going to talk about that a little later. But, I've been thinking about Starfox,
That's a video game.
Yeah. And I was thinking of just about the way the game is designed, right? It's not exactly a wealth of content. It's just like 3 different routes and maybe like 15 levels altogether. And
Sorry, Ty, can I just clarify which Starfox you're talking about?
The Super Nintendo one, the very first one.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, yeah. Now, which Starfox? Yeah, that's always a can of worms.
One of the 2 good ones. That's the answer.
Yeah.
There are 2 good Starfox games?
Yeah, this one and Starfox 64.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and,
I'm a Starfox hater, so.
Okay.
Oh,
Fair enough.
that's fine.
okay.
So I was just thinking about how arcadey the game feels. In fact, when I was playing it, my sister came up to visit, and she watched me play it, and she asked me, "Hey, was this an arcade game?"
Wait, your sister's in Japan? That was a long trip just to play Starfox.
Yeah. No. She's also an English teacher.
Good luck to her.
It kind of made me think about the way Starfox is designed, right? It's the game doesn't even have like a save battery. You just get in, you play it,
right,
from start to finish, and there aren't a lot of video games like that anymore.
Who developed this, by the way? Which branch?
It was Nintendo and Argonaut Software. As you remember.
Yes, the British-Japanese collaboration. Or was it?
Bill and Cuthbert, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So the Japanese side. Do you know who that was?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Even though I did look at the credits, I don't remember that.
Okay.
So, and in the podcast, we designed the ultimate Mario Kart game, and it got me to think of like what the ultimate Starfox game would look like. And
right.
I think I better save that for the next time we do that podcast, because that would be.
Would it involve putting credits in an arcade machine?
No. No, I think you would be shocked at my answer.
Okay. 9 out of 10 doctors hate you. Right.
I think it would be a smash hit, though.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we click this one weird link to find out?
Yeah. Maybe I'll just tweet it out sometime, or maybe you'll have to jump in on the next ACDC podcast, Armchair Developers Club.
Absolutely.
And I'm really looking forward to shilling that in like another half hour, because I feel it was really good.
So did you finish like the expert run on Starfox?
Not this last weekend.
Okay.
No, it was just like the easy and medium one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
that game was pretty rough.
Is
there much variety in the play styles of the original Starfox? Because the only one I've played properly is 64, and obviously you have like the tank level in that, and you have like these kind of sometimes different vehicles that you're going in. Is it just the ship in the original, or do they change it up?
The ship.
Right.
It's a very simple, straightforward game. Like I was thinking, if this game came out again today, it would probably like only be like a mobile game, and then I cringed.
Well, I guess the only variation they have is that you're outside, you're in space, or you're going through a tunnel.
Right.
I guess that's the only variation you have in the original.
Yeah. Or maybe that is to say that can't be like a whole game anymore. It would have to be like a feature in a much larger game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was Nintendo themselves saying this, but like making levels that are just like you just go straight. I mean, it's a lot of effort, quote unquote effort, to do that. And so to like make a whole game's worth of content, where it's just going straight and then having a boss at the end, like you kind of, I don't know, run out of ideas or run out of development time to do that. A whole game based around that, which is why they introduced the the all range mode in 64. Because you can kind of like pad out the game by just making them, fly around in circles in a big arena.
Right. Well, since you bring it up, I'll tell you my idea for a new Starfox game, and it would be like the same, R-wing and tank gameplay, but it would be an open world game.
Open world, isn't that Starfox Adventures?
I hope not.
I don't think you could call Starfox Adventures open world in any sense.
I never actually played Starfox Adventures, but wasn't it like a lot of dicking around on foot?
I thought Namun was going to say you can't really call Starfox Adventures a video game. Which would be a fair statement.
You could say that. I never got too far in Adventures, but
sometimes the Japanese British collaborations don't always work out. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah,
I know it has a couple like random, like really hardcore fans. But I also see none of them are on this podcast, so let's leave it at that.
I wouldn't go. Let's not be so hasty.
Okay. Let's hear it.
No.
One of the two is here.
Yeah, there were two things I was going to bring up. I went to a gallery in Tokyo that's now closed, but it was celebrating King of Games' 15th birthday, 15th anniversary, or whatever. King of Games is a really renowned, famous Nintendo-based, mainly T-shirt design company, and I spent about an hour deciding which T-shirt to get, and I chose a Starfox one because I feel that it's lost a lot of love recently. And the other thing I was going to mention was about Starfox 2 being included on the Super Famicom Mini.
Sure.
And that the guy that was developing that in Japan got a lot of publicity recently because that to 99.9% of the audience that came out of nowhere. There must have been someone that knew about it, but
Yeah.
the Super Famicom Mini was no surprise to anyone. But the fact that Starfox 2 was on it kind of blew a lot of people away.
Yeah, Dylan Cuthbert didn't know about it at all. He found out alongside everyone else.
He was the one that did. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show. We've met him a few times at TGS. But it's funny that Starfox 2 will be a 2017 release. It won't be like...
Yeah, it qualifies for Game of the Year, technically.
I like the way you think.
One way of looking at it.
Because like with those like re-release games like Star Fox 64, when you look at it on Wikipedia, it'll say like Star Fox 64 released 1997, 2004, 2008, and all the releases that came out. But with Star Fox 2, it was just 2017. End of sentence. There's no other release. So yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, Game of the Year, obviously.
Yeah.
It's got some stiff competition, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up between Breath of the Wild and Star Fox 2. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I bet somebody figures out, okay, so it's not the exact same Star Fox 2 that's like floating around as a ROM.
Right. It's an actual fixed good version.
They polished it up a bit. So I'm guessing somebody will open up the SFC Mini and have that ROM dumped like right quick.
Oh yeah, within 24 hours.
Looking forward to it.
Well, that might be the only way to play it once, Nintendo only makes, 100,000 of the Nintendos.
Yeah.
All right.
All six people that get the chance to buy one.
Yeah.
I do have a pre-order locked in, and it is with Amazon UK, and they're usually okay about this stuff. So we'll see. Like, hopefully a Walmart situation doesn't rear its head and everything gets cancelled. But
gross. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yes, they're gonna open up pre-orders again. Can you just do that thing that you did last month? Can you just do it again, please?
Yeah.
A bit weird. Okay.
Because they're gonna go old school in Japan, aren't they? Because before, with the Famicom Mini, I just walked into Tsutaya, and they just really kind of innocuously just had the little, like you're saying about the Splatoon bundle, they just had the little slips of paper on the bench where they have all the other pre-orders. And I was like, well, that's odd. There's no massive kind of publicity push for it or anything. So maybe in Japan it's just going to appear one day.
I believe they all sold out, right? And it's now like the prices have been jacked up as well as everywhere else, right? The Famicom Mini.
The Famicom Mini? I saw one in Book Off the other day, unboxed, and it was like 9,000 yen.
Okay, original price was 6,000. Was it? How much was the original price?
Price?
Yeah.
6,500, something like that.
Okay. Well, I believe in America they start at $150 and go up to like $350.
Gross.
So yeah.
It's absurd. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Cool. So Ty, is that all for today?
One more quick aside, not really a Nintendo thing, but I was playing some pre-smartphone phone games on an emulator.
Oh boy.
Now
getting some Snake on, right?
Nice.
Right?
Okay, wrap it up. Come on.
Okay, so I'm just bringing it up because it's going to be relevant later. I played some Rumble Roses Pinball, which was a real game, by the way.
Isn't that mentioned in your profile? Like, what is it?
It probably has been from time to time. I put a lot of silly stuff on my Twitter profile. You should look at my sketchy URL that I have set right now.
Bring back Rumble Roses or something?
Yeah. Right. So that's my dream right now.
That
I
was
mean,
a really
since
good.
Killer Instinct came back, like Rebel Roses is the next thing on the list.
For people that don't know, that was the fighting game where it's all women, except for it was one guy or something.
Yeah, like a secret character, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like all women wrestling game made by was it UK or Ukes? I don't know how you say that, but the
Ukes,
well-known, yeah, Ukes, the well-known wrestling game developer,
Okay, I'll tell you
published
what
by
they are.
Konami. But you know,
Hmm.
I think
Wow.
things do not look good for making a new one, since you know Konami is in a perpetual meltdown, and unfortunately, the character designer passed away like last year, I think.
As did the whole company.
Or yes,
Rest in peace.
yeah. So we'll
Awesome.
see. But there's hope for a new sexy pinball game. We'll talk about that when we get into the news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A true feminist game. I like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's the end of new business. So now let's move on to a little bit of now playing at thefamicast.com. So our guests can just, sleep for 5 minutes at this point. Sorry, we're going to bore you with news about our website. So
Yes.
Ty, you have been waiting to talk about this. So let loose.
Yeah.
What's been going on the website?
All right. I'm really eager to shill this. So, as you may or may not know, we have some Patreon exclusive podcasts.
That's right.
And for the low price of $3 a month, you could get in on them. So there's, in addition to our 2 regular podcasts, we got 2 special podcasts every month. And me and James put out one that I kind of wanted to do for a long time. We call it Armchair Developers Club, where we go on about how a game is designed and maybe also design our own game. So we talked about Mario Kart. We talked about Mario Kart for 2 hours straight. That wasn't the plan, but that's what we did, and it came out amazing, I believe.
I think it did as well. It was amazing. We had this long agenda with like all these discussion points. We only did the first one.
Yeah.
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 It's episode 1.
Maybe biting off more than we can chew, but we broke down like every game in the Mario Kart series, talked about what worked, what didn't. Maybe like a lot of the game design philosophy behind, the design decisions in the game. And in the end, we came up with a Mario Kart game that should be made. And it had a lot of crazy features like, what did we decide on?
Let them find out for themselves.
If
If it ever did get released, it'd get a 40 out of 40 in Famitsu, guaranteed.
Yeah. Maybe I just put in a
Do you have the
teaser.
money for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We absolutely all those Patreon dollars really add up. I'll just give you a teaser. I think we put in a payload mode.
Yeah, right. Yes, that was interesting, but I think
All
it
right.
will work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now moving on to August, we have 2 new shows coming up this month. After this regular show comes out, the one that you're listening to right now, we're going to have episode 2 of Ty's Fighting Game Podcast, Champion Edition.
Yeah, Champion Edition.
And because Cyrus is MIA at the moment, he won't be on it, but screw that guy.
Yeah, so it's going to be just me and some surprise guests that I wrangle.
Awesome. All fighting game professionals, hopefully.
Yeah. Professional trollers, baby.
And then, and week 4, the last show of the month, we're gonna have a brand new show that we've never had before, and that's called Super Splat Hour. This will be when Cyrus finally comes back from his, mountain trek or whatever he's doing. And then, me and Cyrus are going to talk about Splatoon, pro tips, what we've been, what we think about the game, everything. We're just going to go deep dive into Splatoon 2. It's going to be Splatoon goodness all the time. So that's what's been going on the website, and please do enjoy.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Okay, John and Lemon, you can wake up now.
All right.
No, sorry. I just wondered if it was an earthquake. That's all.
Oh, really?
We've been having them quite regularly over the last couple of days. We had a couple yesterday morning in Tokyo, and
That woke me up.
apparently there was one while I was teaching this afternoon, but I didn't notice
boy.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah,
My
yeah. I
students
felt that one.
stopped dead. All all 12 of my students stopped, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "It's an earthquake." I was like, "Well, I don't know. I didn't think so. Maybe I just had too much coffee, and I feel like that anyway." But
Just gas, just bad gas.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to move on to news now, or as I like to call it, Japanese.
No, please stop.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Just wow.
So this may be a shock to you, but Splatoon 2 sold quite well in Japan.
You don't say.
Wow.
Yes, I think it was over 650,000, like physical copies. I believe that included the physical download, which is kind of a Japan exclusive thing. I don't think they do that in Europe. Naman, do they do that? Like the download cards or the box with this download code inside?
So they have download cards, and I think sometimes they brand them with games on them, but it's not as if you couldn't just... I think it might just be credit. Like, I don't think it's necessarily just a download code for the game. I might be wrong. I've never bought one of those because I've never seen the need to.
Well, it's for people who just want to pay cash.
I can't remember.
They want to pay cash and just download it, right? Some people have credit cards, right?
Sure.
In Japan, people are paranoid about credit cards for whatever reason. I don't know what that is. I want to give you my cash. Well, yeah, like DJ Mizuhara, buying a 40,000 yen console, and the other guy asked him to bring his cash, with him. Ridiculous. But yeah, I think that is going to sell quite well this year. That's my hot take.
Has it passed Zelda yet in Japan?
That's a good question.
No, I doubt. Well, I was going to ask that question.
I think it probably will.
Came out today, and I just wondered if they would have a full week's. I wondered if they'd have a full week's sales figures.
For the. Yeah. I believe that the second week it dropped a lot. It was like around about 40 or 50,000, which is still a lot, But yeah, good job for Nintendo for getting enough stock in, I guess, because it looks like they sold pretty much the whole stock.
I think it passed Mario Kart already, is what it is. I think it's already beaten Mario Kart in terms of sales. Yeah,
so I think the Switch is looking at like possibly 3 million sellers in Japan, like in its first year, which is kind of ridiculous. Because the Wii U took like years to get the games over 1 million. Mm-hmm. And alongside that, of course, is Dragon Quest 11. Which also sold well, and good work to all those websites out there with the headlines. Dragon Quest sells well in Japan. Yeah, good job. That's some amazing journalism right there.
Another news. Water is wet.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe the 3DS version outsold the PS4 version.
Yeah, I think it was like 1.1 million for 3DS and 900,000 for PS4, which actually, shocks me that PS4 numbers are that high, that it's 900,000 for PS4, because, considering the console situation there, it didn't seem like that would do that well, but
yeah. It makes me wonder, like, a game like Monster Hunter, if they had a similar thing where if it was like a 3DS Monster Hunter and a PS4 Monster Hunter, like which one would sell, which would sell better? Would it be similar to that kind of thing? Because people have always been complaining, like, I want a real Monster Hunter on a real console,
Yeah,
I guess they are.
I think Capcom, they're probably trying to walk that line by having Worlds, but also trying to keep the 3DS one on the go. Because they brought Double X over to Switch, didn't they, in Japan already?
Yeah, Double Cross is going to have a Switch bundle, in fact.
Right, yeah.
Coming out soon.
25th of August, I think.
Yeah, just in time to make all new Switches to sell out immediately. Yeah, I should try and get one before the 25th. Jesus.
Well, that's what I was saying. After Splatoon, it's just this whole cycle happens again with like Monster Hunter.
Yep.
Maybe Pokken, but certainly Mario Odyssey as well, and then Xenoblade, and then you've got like third parties like Skyrim, FIFA, that kind of thing, which I don't really know how well that would do in Japan. But, certainly Mario.
Not so much. And also, I believe John from 84, he tweeted out a picture of the special edition that he got, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, because it's got Sony and Nintendo at the top.
Who made that deal happen?
That's amazing, isn't it? It's actually got the PS4 and the 3DS game in the same box. That's amazing. That's like, you know, the Nintendo PlayStation, you know.
Yeah. I'm
was
very
finally-
curious about when they're going to start talking about the Switch version, because I think clearly they wanted to sell as many copies as possible of the PS4 version and the 3DS version before mentioning Switch, because I think they would have, especially the PS4, if the Switch version is like the higher quality console one, they would have probably lost out a lot of sales on the PS4 if they had had Switch available at the same time.
Actually, I have a hot take on that.
All right.
It's not a very positive one, but I believe the Switch version is going through a lot of problems, probably technical problems, because like, you know, with the Dragon Quest Heroes game,
that had horrible frame rate issues, didn't it? Yeah,
because like the Switch version, it has been said it is going to be like the PS4 one, but I believe they're having real trouble getting it running at a solid frame rate on the Switch, which is why we haven't seen a single frame of this game. We haven't seen even an image from it. They're releasing nothing, and anytime it's brought up, it's very awkward and very kind of like, oh, we're going to talk about it sometime. You know, stop asking us. You know, look over there.
They've changed their tune since the beginning, when they were the first people to announce an NX game, where they're like, oh yeah, it's coming to NX.
That's right.
And now they've gone quiet.
Well, they hadn't even started development when they said that, probably.
Yeah, probably.
It was like when Sakurai found out he was making Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
he spat out his coffee. He was drinking his coffee and he was like, and what? I'm sure it was something like that. So yeah, I think that when Dragon Quest XI does come out on the Switch, it's going to be horribly delayed. It might not even make it out for this year. Yeah. The frame rate is going to be horrible, or like the amount of scenery or like geometry in the game is going to be so, you know, reduced compared to the PS4 when it's going to be, you know, not really comparable. But despite all that, Japanese people are still going to buy it, and they're going to, you know, spend 10,000 yen on it, you know, 80 quid on it, and not blink an eye. So, and it'll probably sell well. So yeah.
Are any of you guys Dragon Quest fans? Played a lot of the series?
I think the closest we have to a Dragon Quest fan is Danny, who's not on the show. And
I played Dragon Quest 1, and I played the Wii motion control one that's like Punch Out or whatever. I don't know. I only played it at TGS.
I believe that makes you a super fan then.
Yeah, that game was good though. From the 5 minutes I played.
I think I played the same thing at the same TGS.
Yeah, right.
We were probably waiting in line, but we didn't know each other at that point.
Right.
Crazy. So what else does anyone else want to take the next one in the list?
Let's see. So Resident Evil Revelations, as it should be spelled.
I
1 and 2.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. The originally 3DS games, right? I think they brought them to PlayStation and Xbox later as like downloadable. I think the second one was actually an episodic game that came out, which I don't know how well that did, but it was a weird choice.
That's right.
Well, actually, Famicast alumni Matt Walker worked on the second one. He used to co-host this podcast. The first one was a 3DS exclusive, and then later ported to consoles. But the second one, weirdly, the sequel to the Nintendo game never made it, because because of the Wii U and the Wii U not doing very well.
So I guess this is the first time that's coming to a Nintendo platform with Switch now. The second one.
It was like, Ty, you played the Resident Evil remasters, right? That was like
I did.
A literal Nintendo exclusive game, and it came to every single console except Nintendo.
Yeah, I very recently replayed it on the Xbox One.
That's right. So I don't know, we might actually see that now, because the Switch is actually, you know, like 1 billion times more popular than the Wii U. We might actually see all those come out on Switch, you know.
Right? The most ported game series in history? Yeah, maybe.
Not as if Resident Evil 4 hasn't been on enough systems, so might as well.
Right.
The irony of Resident Evil 4 being this banner exclusive and then literally going everywhere at this point. Like,
that's right. Capcom 5, baby.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Did anyone play Vaccine?
Isn't that supposed to be really, really bad?
I saw it, and I saw some footage of it, and it looked terrible. Like the original Resident Evil on the PS1, down to the tank controls, down to the resolution, it did not look great, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
It was in air quotes, a love letter to the original Resident Evil, almost too much.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I'm looking forward to Resolutions 1 and 2. I haven't played either of them, so
yeah, it's weird
I'll
because
probably
like
get that.
I recently replayed Revelations 1 on the Wii U because it was like £8 on the eShop or something like that. I don't know if you guys saw that, but like maybe I'll just skip straight to 2. It depends how much this costs, because like if you have to buy both together and it's like, you know, full price, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do them separately on the eShop.
Yeah, because if that would be brilliant if they did that, because then I would just buy the second one.
Sure.
But the second one didn't get as good reviews as the first one, if I remember. But it's still, sorry, Matt.
I don't know. It must have been to do with that episodic structure it had, because I think they completed the entire game and then decided to put it out episodically. So it had a nice like consistency of releases, like every week or whatever it was.
Right.
But I don't know. It feels like people like dropped off of it because it wasn't the whole thing at once.
Yeah, but I had some good things about it, so definitely worth checking out. Okay, who added Pikachu Festival?
Oh, that was me. Hell yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this was brought to my attention when longtime Nintendo World Report guy, Uncle Bob, messaged me like, "Hey, I want to come to Japan just for this. Can we stay with you?"
I'm gonna go and get loads of pictures.
Okay, what is this? Seriously.
Just for the first day. I'm just gonna go and take.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a Pikachu festival.
Okay.
There's an iconic parade, I believe.
Okay, the parade. That's a given. Okay, what else?
I don't know, man. I don't even
Cosplay. Much cosplay.
Pikachu.
By the sounds of it, Yokohama just becomes Pikachu Disneyland for 4 days with like parades and stuff.
Okay, you're allowed to take loaded
Does
weapons.
that sound about
right? Interesting. Okay, well, isn't that like more like a kids event though? Hello.
I'm gonna go devote a couple of hours just to wander around, get some pictures, and come home and forget about it. Well, upload them to the internet, and then forget about it. Pretend I was never there.
Just erase it from your mind.
For the kids, yeah, for the kids, right?
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Ty, yeah, please also report back.
If I'm in the area, I might check it out.
So it's in Yokohama, you said, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Well, Yokohama's a nice place.
Yeah.
Even if the festival's a bust, still hang out there. Persona Q2. Who's that? Who likes Persona?
So I played Persona 5 earlier this year. Spent 90 hours with it. Love it. Wow. I think it's fantastic. I've never played one of the Persona or the original Persona Q. It's because it's based on like the Etrian series, like that style of dungeon crawler. And I've never played an Etrian game before, but I know a lot of people love that series, so I might try and pick one up and try it out. But I just thought this was an interesting Nintendo announcement from the Persona event that happened. They announced also the 2 dancing games. Is it 1 dancing game for Persona 3 and Persona 5?
All I remember is my Twitter timeline turning into just Persona. I was like, why in my timeline? Everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, people love Persona, so it's going to happen.
So Persona, is it Persona Q1 to 5? And then a Persona 1 to 5?
No. So Persona Q is the spin-off, which has characters from Persona 3 and 4, and that was on 3DS. And so this is a sequel to that, and it looks like it's going to have Persona 5 characters in it because the logo is basically the Persona 5 logo. So it seems like it's just a direct sequel to that 3DS game, which was like an Etrian style game. But I think it just shows that Atlas still loves the 3DS, and they're not going to give up on the 3DS. So if everyone else leaves, I'm sure Atlas will still be kicking around until like 2019 on that platform, especially in Japan. So
good luck to them.
Yeah.
People like the Personas. The next one we got on behalf, our friend Japanese Nintendo. That's not his actual name. JapaneseNintendo.com. He runs a great blog about Japanese news, Nintendo news. So he posted the most recent Famitsu Most Wanted. Obviously, Dragon Quest 11 and Splatoon 2 were number 1 and number 2 for it hasn't changed for months, obviously. But now both of those games are out, so they're no longer valid. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at the most wanted games now. So at number 10, it's Dragon Quest 11. Okay. That joke didn't work. No, this is the Switch version. The only version that's not out yet.
Oh, okay.
Right.
They managed to squeeze it on there again. You know, it's like even though it's out. That's at number 10 though. Number 9 is Metroid: Samus Returns.
That's pretty positive, considering like Metroid's lack of commercial success in Japan. Like that's pretty cool to see.
I don't know who this Samus is, but I don't want him in my Metroid games.
No.
Samus is the robot.
Number 8 is Sekaizu to Fushigi no Dungeon 2, which I believe is like the what is it called in English? The Mysterious Dungeon?
Mystery Dungeon?
Sorry, yeah, thank you. Mystery Dungeon 2.
Yeah, because there was that Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, right?
Yeah, that's the one I'm familiar with, is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah, they're all garbage. Never mind. Next one is Fire Emblem Muso, aka Fire Emblem
Warriors, I believe.
Yeah.
It's really annoying because there's Fire Emblem Heroes and Fire Emblem Warriors, and there's also Dragon Quest Heroes, whereas Dragon Quest Heroes is the Muso, Fire Emblem Heroes is the mobile game, Fire Emblem Warriors is the Muso. It's a mess.
I've gone
Welcome to
cross-eyed.
Japan.
I don't know. I'm confused.
You should be.
I should point out that this is the new 3DS version. I believe it's a new 3DS exclusive, right? Because otherwise the frame rate would be, you know, in the single digits.
Yeah, I mean, they put out Hyrule Warriors, and that was absolute shit show frame rate wise.
12 frames a second. But, you know,
Yeah,
12
really
frames a second is better than 8 frames a second.
For sure.
Number 6, we have Xenoblade 2.
Nice.
It's getting some hype.
Very excited about that one.
Yeah, it's coming. I wonder if that'll be multilingual when it comes out, because that's it's a big game.
Because I think
languages, isn't it?
I think Takahashi actually did an interview. I think maybe Jason Schreier interviewed him about like the need for, fans wanting Japanese, audio in their games.
They might do like they did with Breath of the Wild and have like a download pack or something.
Yeah, I think the original Xenoblade Chronicles actually did have the Japanese audio on it, but it didn't have subtitles, so you couldn't actually understand.
All right, and obviously the traditional British English.
Yes, which I'm a big fan of. Very big fan.
Next one, number 5 is the Snack World Trajaras. Now, the Snack World
also
is
known
kind of
as.
huge.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Also known
Has the first one already come out in Japan? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, when I go to like the toy section of like, you know, Toys R Us or whatever here in Japan, the Snack World, they're trying to push it a lot. I mean, kind of like Yokai Watch, and
it seems like Level 5 are just trying to manufacture another Yokai Watch level success out of it, essentially.
I mean, it's kind of weird because they actually put like cross media in the advertisement. It's like, you know, cross media product. They actually say it on the poster. It's like, you're not supposed to say that out loud.
That's really weird.
It's like, we're trying to sell you an anime and a game. You know.
Yeah.
Did you see the posters I put on Twitter? At my local train station, there was just a row of like two rows of them, just taking up this huge space in the train station. So yeah, like you said, they are pushing it like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's either Splatoon.
Posters. It's crazy.
Because I remember watching the Level 5 event when they first announced it, and they're talking about like having all these weapons as like scannable NFC things, and just going crazy on as much merchandising as possible. Like, it's very, very blatantly, hey, we need to make a lot of money out of this thing.
And they're trying to make it gender neutral as well, because I saw like the physical toys that they're selling here, like they had these pouches, and they had a blue one and a pink one, and they had a girl character, boy character for everything. So
is this 3DS game the first sequel then that they've
I guess
released?
it's a sequel. Maybe it's like Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Which they love doing, right?
Sure.
Number 4, we have Shin Megami Tensei Deep Strange Journey, which is a kind of a deep, strange name, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not really familiar with like the rest of the Shin Megami Tensei stuff. I've just played Persona, so.
Okay. Well, it makes you an expert on this podcast.
Yeah, I guess.
No one else plays them. Number 3, we have Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon. Wow, that never gets boring, does it? Having a Pokemon game on the top 10.
Yeah.
Most wanted.
Still sells.
And then number 2, we have Fire Emblem Muso, the Switch version. which is the second most wanted game in Japan.
That's pretty wow. That's
yeah.
Shows that Nintendo were very smart to make that partnership again.
I believe, John, you might have seen this on your Game Shop travels as well. I believe they've put the boxes out now, so it must be coming out soon.
Yes, they have. In Shinjuku, Yodobashi, I've seen them. They're
Is
also
it coming out this
advertising
month?
I'm not sure when it comes out. I can't remember, but they're also pushing something that they did with Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U, and they've done with Dynasty Warriors a lot as well. The kind of premium box and the treasure box thing as well. So you get the base game, which is like 6,500 yen, 7,000 yen. Then you get like a premium box, which is like 9,000 yen. And if it's anything like the Hyrule Warriors box, like the treasure box that I got a couple of years ago, that was like 14,000 yen and came with an art book and various other stuff. So yeah, the boxes are in Yodobashi Camera in Shinjuku at any rate. So yeah, they're already there.
You probably just get
what those
a mouse mat with boobs on it.
Have in them, no one knows yet.
One of those mouse mats with boobs on. Ty, you've got one of those, right?
Oh yeah, at least one.
That's all they need, isn't it?
I got it from a UFO catcher.
Sure you did. Then number one, you could probably guess. Do you want to guess?
Oh,
the number one most wanted game in Japan.
It's a me.
That's right. It's Ty's Odyssey.
Ty's Odyssey.
Right.
Yeah.
Ubisoft's Far Ty 5.
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is like quite a bit more voted for this than Fire Emblem on number 2. So yeah, major hype for Mario. I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising actually, because I think anecdotally what I hear is that people in Japan prefer the kind of the new Super Mario Brothers style game, the 2D platformers. And so yeah, so like since 64 or whenever the 3D ones have been happening, they've never sold as well as the 2D series. So which is
why we get so many sequels to the new Super Mario Brothers game.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I
mean,
glad they've kind of stopped it for the moment, but maybe they'll come back.
I might have talked about this on this podcast, years ago, but when Galaxy 2 came out, Galaxy 2 actually started in 2D. I don't know if you remember that. Like when you start the tutorial, it actually starts
right.
And
yeah.
then it slowly introduces you. That game in Japan alone, it came with a DVD, like how to play 3D.
It's funny. Mario. It came out in Europe as well because I have that DVD. Yeah.
Well,
it's
European
really
people that can play 3D games.
Exactly.
I can play 3D.
I always thought it was very strange that it just came with this disc that was like, hey, this teaches you how to play this Mario game. Okay. It's a little weird. But
Mom, can you help me set up this 3D Mario game?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did anyone else find it ironic that the Wii, to play the DVD, you couldn't just put a DVD in the Wii?
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure some people tried to do that.
Oh, my Wii can. I hacked it.
It's like
it's got a DVD player built right in.
I saw I went to a bar in Akihabara. They've got the Panasonic Q.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Panasonic Q or the Panasonic Cube? It's a glorious little thing.
Yeah, I had one of those.
It's really cool.
Was that Game Bar A button?
Yes. I
knew
wrote an article about that place. It's really smart. I really like it in there.
Me too. I go in there when I can.
But yeah. I think the first week I was in Japan, I saw a Panasonic Q in Bookoff, which wasn't in the junk section, and it was about 30,000 yen. And I was obviously, first month in Japan, I was broke as, so I didn't get it.
Oh no, man!
I bet I saw the same one.
I know.
Like want it.
Well, I came to Japan in 2004, and they were. I got one for 25,000 yen, which was it had a few scratches on the top, but nothing to moan about. And it gave me a solid few years of gaming, and then I sold it for like almost the same price that I bought it for.
It's one of those few pieces of hardware that if I was in Japan and looking for stuff, if I saw it, I would pick it up sight unseen, for sure.
Okay. Talking about mouse pads with boobs on, who wrote the next thing on?
I wrote it on here just because I saw it and I was like, this is pretty Japanese. We should probably discuss it to some degree. So yeah, that Senran Kagura, everyone's favorite anime lady game.
Yeah.
So they're doing another game called Peach Beach Splash, I believe, which is their version of Splatoon, which is on PS4. Yeah, it's just like girls with water guns, essentially. This one, I don't actually know if it's the same or if it's slightly different, but this is announced for Switch, and I think this is the one that has the weird HD Rumble stuff that they were talking about in that one Japanese Nintendo Direct.
It feels like actual women's boobs if you've never.
Apparently.
I've got a quote here. If I'm right. I saw this quote before I saw the news, and let's see, Mr. Takaki, I suppose his name is. He says, "This is something I've always wanted to do. I wanted to play something that will let me feel when the ball touches breasts.
Oh my god!
I want to play pinball on a woman's body."
Oh my god!
Is it right? So
said,
I saw this, I got all excited, like, yes, they're bringing back Rumble Rose's pinball. But no,
I was going to say, he was quoted as saying, has been led into a police van.
Yes.
While being restrained, yeah.
Right.
That's right. Jesus Christ. That kind of thing is usually written in blood on a wall. What's wrong with the guy?
He's a genius.
There was a video going around of like massaging with a thing on. It was really weird. I don't know. They had some like live demonstration.
That made it into a Nintendo Direct. Really you remember that?
Yeah.
Like there was a woman holding 2 cups of jelly, and she was just like wobbling them side to side.
Oh my god.
And he was wearing a white lab coat, but now I think back, it probably wasn't a lab coat. It's probably like a restraining jacket.
Yeah.
Straight jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I realized it didn't actually say the name of the game. It's called Peach Ball Senran Kagura. So
okay, and this is what kind of game? A fighting game?
Sexy pinball.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Did you say
I don't know if
sexy
there's
pinball?
anything else. Maybe there is.
Yeah, I think there's something else.
That
In it. I don't know.
That well
Don't
known
care.
sexy pinball much on it.
Yeah.
So
There's not much more to it than that.
So the game where you squirt liquid onto women, that's the PS4 one, is it? Well, I guess it could be.
Yes, I believe so.
Technically, it could be any game, but.
Yeah. So I think that's the one where they're trying to rip off Splatoon, essentially.
Oh, okay.
All
Well, good luck with that.
I have another reason to get a Switch now.
Yep.
Man. So the last thing we have on the news section is the Metroid unlocks. Now this has been causing a bit of controversy, hasn't it? So basically, you need amiibos to unlock hard mode and many other things in the game.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
I think this is just Nintendo being late to the horrible third-party publisher party, where for years publishers have taken away things which used to be like cheat codes you would find in games and stuff like that. They've now started locking that stuff behind DLC, and Nintendo aren't really known for doing difficulty modes in their games generally. Like I believe Zero Mission has a difficulty select in terms of Metroid games. I think maybe one of the Primes has it. But
you have to unlock them just by beating the game.
Yeah, and Zelda's always been hero mode, which you unlock after beating it as well. And obviously Zelda's done the same thing. It's not amiibo, but it is DLC. So yeah, I think this is just combining them, realizing, hey, we can do something significant and charge money for it. And, this is what everyone's doing now. But I think the reason people are even more annoyed is because it's not just that you can't just go and buy it. Like if you want the hard mode, you can't just go and buy it. You have to track down this amiibo, which is probably going to be hard to find and rare, and
especially in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, also if you call this DLC, I mean, a hard mode DLC, okay, fair enough. But you're gonna have to buy like a $15 amiibo to unlock that. That's kind of a bit of a rip-off, isn't it? It's like it's hard it is easy to put a price in the hard mode, which is $0 for me. I would never buy a hard mode for $15, but
yeah, same.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, unless you really want those amiibos.
I have the Samus amiibo, the original Smash Brothers one. So I believe that unlocks like an art gallery and concept stuff like that, which again, stuff that usually is just in the game.
I loved unlocking all that stuff in Prime. I mean,
Yeah.
you had to like, was it like scanning stuff, wasn't it? Beating the game in hard and then
Right.
scanning everything,
Mhm.
and then you unlocked everything, right? Or maybe connecting to the GBA game. Oh shit!
Yeah, with Fusion. I think it actually
Okay.
Prime unlocked the Fusion. See, that's the real DLC. What you need to talk
Yeah, yeah.
about is in the original Metroid Prime, you had to own Metroid Fusion to get the Fusion suit.
That's a whole different
in,
game. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
That's like
So-
2 amiibos.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that's all the news we have for this episode. So yeah, thank you for bringing up those things that I missed. That was cool. So let's move on to some feedback. Okay, so the first thing is a promise I made to Nick, Nintendo Nick. He has his own podcast, the Nick's Cast. So he is going to, well, I'm just going to read out what Nick sent to us. So on the 12th of August, which is like, a week and a half from now, at 10 a.m., 3 podcast hosts called Nick, which is why they call it the Nick's Cast, because it's 3 Nicks, and their friend called Evan, will be hosting the 3rd annual Race Against Time. So this is basically a live stream for 24 hours to get all 12 endings in Chrono Trigger.
Boy.
This is for charity. It's to raise money
Yeah.
for the Alzheimer's Society of Canada. So yeah, it's called the Race Against Time because the tight limit on completing the game and that Chrono Trigger, emphasizes on time travel, and also the fact that Alzheimer's is neurodegenerative disease and the effect that it has on the brain and memory. So yeah, last year, the Nick's Cast and their friend, the Goat VG, they raised over 1,200 American, 965 Canadian dollars for the organization and to fund the research. And this year they want to get 1,500. That's 1,200 Canadian. So yeah, if you want to watch that and chip in for the charity, go to Race Against Time, one word, raceagainsttime.io. And then if you want to donate, just add /donate to that. So raceagainsttime.io/donate. Yeah, that sounds like a awesome idea. We've got 3 British guys on this podcast, so we all just kind of our time to say, yep, was never released here. Oh, there. I'm looking at Numbered at this point. Wasn't released in the UK.
No.
But yeah, I just like to bring that up every single time.
I did play the DS version, so I got there.
12 years later, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Next, Twitter, Ty. I think this one's aimed at you.
Hell yeah, I love Twitter. Yeah.
No, this one in particular is aimed
I know. Our good friend Rich70 tweeted at us, at me specifically. I think achievements are bullshit. Solid progression systems are fundamental to good game design. I'm pretty sure he was just ironically trolling me.
Oh, okay.
I'm like,
I think he's speaking the truth. I agree with Rich here.
Stop it. Stop now.
So he means like within the game, right? As opposed to achievements, which are kind of like, extraneous. They don't really do anything other than give you a gamer score.
Right.
Oh, actually,
now, progression systems. We were going to talk about this on the Armchair Developers podcast, but there's all that Mario Kart on there, and we didn't have time.
Right.
But, like multiplayer progression systems are, I want to say my pet peeve in game design, but it's actually more extreme than that. It's like a personal affront to everything I believe in.
Well, it doesn't say multiplayer; it just says progression systems.
Yeah.
I thought.
I mean, progression systems are fine in like single player or cooperative games or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I was thinking. Like
solid progressions, the progression system in ARMS is like the number one reason why I decided against getting a Switch. Like real talk. Like I saw ARMS, I liked it, I thought it looked good and cool, and then I found out in ranked matches like there's a progression system with the gear and stuff. I'm like, wow, I'm not buying a Switch now.
Okay, rest in peace.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, and I guess the one below that is kind of related, I guess.
Yeah.
Ty?
Oh, about yeah. Our good buddy Stone Cab, or was he tweeting at Stone Cab? There's no line return here.
Yeah, it's Stonecap. He's
Okay.
It was, yeah.
It adds a whole other layer to the games and extends their play. Nintendo is creative enough where they can make achievements something special.
Oh, okay, that's achievement systems, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm a big fan of achievements. And I think it's good. I think one of the key things about achievements, see, you know, every game forever has had like, you know, unlocks and stuff, or, you know, people, like even before achievement systems were, what's the word, ubiquitous?
Right. GoldenEye was the best.
Yeah, that's a good example. And like even without that, you know, I feel like a lot of people who play video games, if they really like a game, like even after they beat it, they would try to like, you know, do some trick shots or explore the game or speed run it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the urge to have achievements in the game has always been there, but I think a special thing about modern achievements is the ability to share them, if you know what I mean. You know,
like comparing and stuff like that is important. Yeah, for sure.
It's a really useful thing. Like I can see if my friend has been playing a game or how far he's gotten in it.
Yeah. Actually, the one thing I do like about Switch and the way it tracks hours, like it's no activity log, but at least you can look at your friends list and see how many hours they've logged. So I can go and see all these people with like 150 hours in Zelda and feel better about myself that I only put in 100. So, you know.
Right.
Well, it's kind of an extension of the, you know, playground chat back when we were kids, right? But this time, you know, it's online. Yeah, I hope Nintendo do it, but they have their own spin on it and they do it, you know, well.
Yeah, I also think it's really useful for like finding multiplayer partners. Like, you know, if you have a friends list with 100 people, you can just see who's been playing it.
Right.
Hey, join me for this game.
Who's actually good at the game, right?
Yeah.
I think an interesting thing Nintendo could do is to enhance their virtual console experience this time is to add achievements to those old games.
Absolutely.
So that people can go back and do stuff like that. So
because the fans have started doing that themselves, and I believe there's some, you know, gray areas, gray/completely illegal ways of adding achievements to like those, you know, NES ROMs, and then people have actually added them into the game, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing
like
that would give me,
emulator.
that's the thing that would get me to rebuy old NES and Super Nintendo games.
Yeah, I actually wrote an article about this on NWR back in the day about achievements on Nintendo systems and how it can be improved. Like, because like they've had some good ideas over the years, but like it's all like segregated and it's never in the same. It's never a system. It's always like they do it in one game and then they don't do it for any other game.
Right.
And then we had, you know, Club Nintendo, which like, you know, rewarded you for buying stuff. But then we have like My Nintendo, which kind of can incorporate like gameplay. They actually kind of said that a long time ago. Like they were thinking
so their mobile games, they do. So
they
like
do.
Fire Emblem Heroes, for example, you get coins for beating chapters in that game. So
I don't know why they don't do that for their console games. I was when Breath of the Wild first came out, the thing that I was kind of looking forward to finding out is if the My Nintendo stuff was integrated with, you know, their first console game on Switch, and it wasn't not even mentioned in the game. It's weird.
See, your key problem there is looking forward to anything to do with My Nintendo, which is
yeah. Oh yeah, I've given up now,
thing.
Obviously.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's the worst. It's
Am
the
I
worst
right?
thing ever.
Am I right in thinking that when they first started talking about NES or SNES or Virtual Console games coming to Switch, that they mentioned online features, whether it be
Yeah, that's true.
leaderboards or badges, or even in something like Zelda Twilight Princess HD, they had stamps that you could collect, and then you could use stamps in Miiverse or something like that. I know it's not quite an achievement in the same way that a trophy or something like that is, but
that's what I mean.
Something about sharing or something like that.
That's what I mean about having like good ideas, but just all separated and not as one system. So it just makes it kind of irrelevant. You know, if it's only for one game, and then there's no way to share that whatsoever, it's like, you know, it's like banging on the glass, you know, and nobody can hear you. Which is basically Nintendo's whole online system is like, you know, banging on soundproof glass with your friends on the other side of it going like, I want to play with you. And they're like, nobody can hear you. It's
Have
always
any of
been
you
like that.
tested out the voice chat at all in the Nintendo Online app? No.
Well, you only have to ask John this question.
Yeah.
I looked at the two Hori headsets that have come out, and I was like, "This is a wind up."
Yeah.
I did a couple of months ago. I did see a Bluetooth adapter that was about $20. That was basically a little tiny box that connected to a 3.5mm jack that you could, I guess, Velcro to the back of your Switch and then have a Bluetooth headset. But again, it's like,
I think
to be honest, I wouldn't. I mentioned this to someone. I wouldn't probably do voice chat on Splatoon unless it was me bantering with my teammates, like just having a laugh. If it was eight friends, 4 of us against 4, we could all like banter each other. But listening to random strangers, or even people I know on a competitive against strangers, that doesn't really interest me that much. If it was just like I said, 8 friends, 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and we could all just banter each other.
I think you're actually
think about doing that.
I think you're actually able to do that with the private match stuff in Splatoon 2. But the problem with the private matches is you don't actually gain any experience or anything for doing that. So there's no progression happening.
Can you pair up with like one other friend, like just do 2 and then just join 2 randoms?
It seems. Yeah, so I don't know how it works properly because the only stuff I've paired up for is for Salmon Run, and Salmon Run is quite good about it because you can have 2 friends and then like add random people to it. They'll just like add whoever. Nice. Whereas if you're trying to do Turf Wars, I think you have to have a party of 4 together. You can't just jump in. But League Battle do allow 2 people to go together, so that's a possibility there.
Okay, cool. Okay, next we have a review from Stitcher. I actually don't even know what Stitcher is, but we're on it, so I like it.
Yeah, I think Stitcher is one of those websites that you just appear on. You're like, oh, that's cool. I guess I should promote that.
So we got a 5-star review from Chris. He says, 4 guys, none from Japan, but all living there, gave a bi-monthly intense look at the world of Nintendo gaming. If you've always wondered what the next big game from the Far East will be, then listen to this. You will laugh, you'll be surprised, and you will definitely enjoy their unique perspectives. Nice way of putting it. Always wanted to go to Tokyo Game Show? Then let the Famicast whisk your ears away to the show floor. These fellas are there, and they always bring the hype. With 6 years and over 100 episodes recorded, this is the premier Nintendo game podcast out of Japan. Thank you very much. And that also reminded me that we are going to TGS, and we haven't really talked about it.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I've just got all of our tickets. Ty, expect it in the post soon. And some 1, 2, 3, 4 of us will be going there. I don't know how many of us are going yet, but we will be there, and we will record probably on the show floor. So please do enjoy. That's in September though, so maybe it's a little bit premature to mention it now. But
there's Gamescom in August, and then September is Tokyo Game Show. So
let's call it pre-hype for Tokyo Game Show. And the Switch hopefully we'll have some third-party games there, because obviously Nintendo don't go to TGS, but
can I bring something up related to that?
Sure, absolutely.
There was a press release, a TGS press release yesterday or the day before, that there will be a Monster Hunter Double Cross, almost like esport event.
All right, okay.
This year. What that entails, I have no idea, but it's I think there's from memory, it might be a Street Fighter 5, Call of Duty esport event, and then Monster Hunter Double Cross Switch.
Well, that game will have been out for like a month and a half. At that point,
exactly.
Wouldn't it? It'd be like old news.
Yeah, but you say that. There was a game last year that came out. It wasn't Persona, but it was something. The name escapes me now.
Catherine?
But there was a game. No. It wasn't that long ago. It was last year, and the game had just been out in Japan for a couple of weeks, but there was still a huge queue lined up to play it. It might well have been a Monster Hunter game or a Dragon Quest game or something like that. But it was like, this game. Go, play it in the comfort of your own home. Maybe Japanese people really enjoy queuing, or they like the buzz of just being at a public event. But blew my mind.
Why not?
That they were queuing for like 2 hours to
the
play a
fact
game that had been out for 2 weeks.
that could be because of the fact that demos often don't get released in Japan, because Japanese people tend to buy games rather than play a demo then buy it. They just go, this looks good, I'll buy it. In fact, I was talking to my students who are all interested in gaming, and I said, like, how do you decide to buy games? And like the percentage that said I read a game review, it was like literally like it was like one guy. He's like, yeah, I read game reviews. And the rest of them were just like, I look at the box, or like my friend likes it, or I like the series. They were just interested in, it's like, like Dragon Quest, I've always played this game series, so I buy the next one. Or like, oh, my friend really likes this game series, so I bought it to play with him.
I guess word of mouth is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, word of mouth. And just like looking at the box, there was like 5 or 6 guys that said like, yeah, I just look at the box and look at the screenshots on the back. I'm like, but what if it's shit? I was like, have you ever bought a shit game before? And they're like, yeah, but whatever, I just sell it. I mean,
back in the day.
Yeah, Japanese people, they just like they buy shit and then just sell it. It's weird. Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought a game where I didn't know anything about it. I've never done that. I think. Okay. What do I need to mention? I also need to mention, I always forget about this, we're on the Japan Podcast Network. I always forget to mention that. So there's we're like a family of Japan related podcasts, and there is actually another video game podcast on the network called 2-Player Podcast, and they hyped us up, and I felt bad for not hyping them back. So yeah, be sure to check it out. If you go to if you search for like Japan Podcast Network, like all of our shows, like our shows, their shows, everyone's shows are kind of like accumulated on this one website. Yeah, and that's all run by a friend of the show, J Dubs, ALT Insider. He runs all that, and so yeah, it's cool. And so check them out. And there's loads of others. They've actually just added a new podcast about learning Japanese, nothing to do with video games, just straight up learning Japanese. So yeah, be sure to check that out. It looks really interesting. Okay, and I believe that is a wrap for the show. So I'd like to thank our guests, John, eigotaku on Twitter. Please do be following. What do you usually tweet about, John?
Normally it's pictures that I take from around Japan in Akihabara or Shinjuku. If I see anything video game related or merchandise related, I think, like I said, I've just had a big all the Splatoon merchandise that's been
nice.
pushed down people's throats since it came out. Like I said, another photo gallery was the King of Games 15th anniversary exhibition / gallery / store that was in Tokyo. That's probably now gone back to Kyoto. I will be going to Yokohama first thing on Wednesday morning to try and get some pictures of the Pikachu Carnival, and then I will be coming home and never wanting to see Pikachu again. But yeah, nice. Normally I just take pictures of game related stuff. Every now and again I'll do some writing and reviews, and that's it pretty much.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, you write for Nintendo Life? Is that right?
Yeah, I've started to do some stuff for Nintendo Life. I've also started to do some writing for Switch Player as well, which is an online website and a printed magazine as well, which is really cool.
Wow, printed magazine.
Yeah, it's good to have printed magazines still existing. So yeah, I've got a couple of things just starting out. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting down to it, doing some reviews and interviews, and going to TGS as well.
Nice, cool. We'll have to all hook up when we go.
Definitely.
Thank you. And then
thank you,
Naman.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Your Twitter handle is NBZ something.
It's Lord NBZ.
Lord NBZ. You're being promoted.
It's what I had to default to back in the day, because everyone was like, oh, you need to have this character limit for your username. And I was always NBZ. 3 letters is never enough. So I gave myself a title in order to help that. Cool. So yeah, you can find me at Lord NBZ on Twitter. Usually just tweeting about video games, my thoughts on what I'm playing, kind of that stuff. And just shitting on my Nintendo because it's the worst thing in human history.
Amen.
But
yeah.
You're also on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, so well, I have my own personal YouTube channel, which I said, we were talking beforehand. I used to play competitive Pokemon. I've given that up, but the stuff I'm doing now is mainly focused on the podcast I do with my friend, who he's called Bally. He's actually in Japan right now, and so we'll probably be talking about his adventures in the next episode of our podcast, which is called This Nintendo Life. So you can find us on iTunes and various places, just wherever good podcasts are sold, as they say. So yeah, check us out there.
So your friend Bali is in Japan right now. Do you know where he is exactly?
I think he's up in the mountains somewhere, or he's just left.
Okay, might bump into Cyrus. But if he has any trouble, if he's like low on cash or anything, I mean this genuinely. If you need somewhere to stay, Danny's house is always available.
Absolutely.
Yes, stay as long as you want.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
I'll let him know.
Keys under the flower pot, that kind of thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Ty, thank you for waiting.
Oh yeah, my Twitter is SuperCatDrugs.
The best Twitter handle.
Yeah, I was playing
was.
Overwatch the other day, and where I'm also Cat Drugs, and one of the random players just had to stop and tell me that he laughed so hard at my name that I got to play the game. So I tweet a lot of like drive-by fighting game shit posts and in jokes. So please enjoy those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
it's getting more and more twisted like every month.
Excellent. So next episode 108 will be 50% less British and 25% more Irish and 25% more American. So look forward to that.
Maths was never my strong point. I can't figure that out.
Until next time, peace out.
Peace.
Thanks, James.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.